Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called Cold Pursuit. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. Nels Coman, a snowplow driver, and his wife, Grace, live a peaceful life in Keogh. Carl Coman, who works at Keogh Airport, pays frequent visits to the couple. Coxman receives the community's Citizen of the Year award. But the night does not go well for him because his son, along with his friend Dante, is kidnapped from him. They're on their way. The kidnappers inject him with heroin, causing him to die, while Dante manages to escape from the van. Meanwhile, in Denver, Viking, a drug cartel leader, urges his son Ryan to be violent at school in order to exact revenge on the bullies, but he refuses due to his peaceful nature. Coman and Grace are called to identify Carl's body after learning of his death. The doctor claims that a drug overdose caused his death, but he does not believe him. Carl was never a drug, Grace is devastated to see her son in this state, and she confronts Coxman about his lack of emotion in the aftermath of his son's death. He attempts to commit suicide with his shotgun, but is stopped by Dante, who has been hiding at the workshop since the incident. Despite his shock at what happened to Carl, he recounts the entire incident to him, revealing that Carl's death was not caused by an overdose. Hearing this, I became enraged. Coxman coerces him into revealing the names and locations of the kidnappers and learns about a man named Speedo. He arrives at a local bar and confronts Speedo about his son's death, but he denies any knowledge. Instead, he starts threatening him and asking him to leave, but when he wakes up, Coman knocks him down. Coxman tortures him once more, which he reveals. He worked under the supervision of a man named Coxman kills Limbo and throws his body in the river after confirming his identity while driving Ryan to school. Viking learns of Speedo's disappearance because he used to work for him. Ryan suspects Viking of doing something to him, but Viking assures him that he was not involved. Coxman finds Limbo at his workplace after killing Speedo and tortures him to learn more about his leader. He then shoots him and disposes of his body in the river in the same manner. Viking's ex-wife pays him a visit and informs him that a custody report for Ryan has been filed. He becomes enraged with her and offers her money in exchange, but she refuses before he can persuade her further. Viking is informed of Limbo's disappearance. While Ryan Worley observes him, he begins an investigation into his staff and scolds them. Meanwhile, Coxman continues his killing spree, shooting another gangster named Santa, who was also involved in the kidnapping of his son. When he returns home, he discovers that Grace has left the house, upset by his lack of grief over their deceased son. After being left alone, he goes to see his brother Brock Coman, an ex-gangster, and tells him about the situation. Brock informs him that they mistook Carl for Dante, who was attempting to steal gold from the drug Viking Lord. Coxman reveals his desire to exact revenge on Carl, but Brock doubts he can kill anyone because he has never been involved in such an act. Viking is told about Santa as they discuss the situation. He becomes suspicious after a third member of his gang goes missing within a week and suspects his rival White Bull is behind the whole thing. He informs his team that he previously worked with White Bull, but they later signed a contract not to interfere in each other's territories. He believes they are in breach of the contract and intends to teach them a lesson upon his orders. His men kidnap and torture a member of the opposing gang in order to obtain them. Because he does not reveal anything, Viking becomes enraged and shoots him, unaware that he is his rival's only son. White Bull Keogh police detectives Kim Dash and John Dipp receive information about the murder and believe it is the start of a turf war between two gangs that will devastate the town's peace. Although Dipp appears hesitant to begin the investigation, Dash insists that they do something to eliminate the impending threat. At Brock's house, he informs Coxman that Viking's real name is Trevor Calco, and that he must hire a professional assassin to kill him. He tells him about a man named Eskimo and tells him that if he pays him up front, he will do it for him. Coxman contacts Eskimo at his suggestion and invites him to town while showing him the room. In a nearby hotel, he offers him half of the agreed-upon amount, but Eskimo misidentifies him as a police officer and begins arguing with him, which he resolves by proving Eskimo accepts his money, but then goes to Viking and demands the same amount to sell the information that someone is attempting to kill him. They deposit the necessary funds into his account, and he reveals that Coxman wants him dead. Viking believes it is Brock Coman because he used to work with his father and may have an old feud with him once he receives the information from Eskimo. As his men dispose of the body, Viking chastises him for not honoring his deal with Coxman and shoots him for his unethical behavior. Nels Coxman tries to find out more about Viking or Trevor Call. Viking shows up at Brock's door and offers him a ride. While driving, he questions the reason for killing his men and threatens to kill him, who is already dying of rectal cancer. Brock decides to save his brother and accepts responsibility, claiming that he wanted to exact revenge on his father for stealing his woman. Viking murders him as well after listening to him and deeming him a threat. Meanwhile, the rival gang leader, White Bull, mourns the death of his son. He tells his gang about the old deal with Viking's father, but says it's over because they repaid it by murdering his son. After learning that Eskimo did not kill him, he vows vengeance and declares that he will take a son for his son. Coxman snoops around Viking's house, where he sees him with his son and learns about his prep school. Viking decides to reinforce his contract with after killing Brock and discovering that White Bull had nothing to do with the murders of his gang members. To accomplish this, he shoots his own man Dexter and orders his team to send his head to White Bull as a gift. White Bull has already ordered the kidnapping of Ryan from his school, requesting that they wait while he receives a message from Viking. His messenger shows him Dexter's head and informs him that he was the one who murdered his son, and that they have punished him in order to keep their end of the bargain. White Bull thanks him and shoots him, insisting that he only wants Vikings. Meanwhile, Kim learns that Carl died as a result of an overdose and that he used to work with Dante at the Cayo airport. She pays a visit to Coxman and expresses her concern that he was not killed by an overdose. She requests his assistance in determining the truth, but he declines, stating that she cannot help him because his son has already died. Later, a Coxman arrives at Ryan's school and informs him that his father has sent him to pick him up. Ryan, who has never seen him before, is hesitant to accompany him, but Coxman persuades him. Men from the White Bulls notice him outside the school and begin chasing him, but he successfully brings Ryan home before he can do anything to find his son. Viking learns of his son's disappearance. His wife reappears and begins arguing with him about taking Ryan without his permission. He informs her of Ryan's kidnapping, but assures her that someone will call in with his ransom demands and he will free him. White Bull's men, on the other hand, receive a text message on Dexter's phone from a gang member telling him about staying. They eventually track him down and murder him as well. White Bull and his team travel to Cayo to keep an eye on the Viking and his gang. Meanwhile, Coxman shows up at his house with Ryan and offers to make him lunch. Ryan inquires about his family, but he informs him that he does not have one. After accepting that he had a son, he treats him well and offers him to sleep in Carl's room, but he no longer lives with him. He even reads him a story and offers him a ride on his snowmobile. While they wait for their next mission, the gang members have a good time at the resort, but White Bull misses his son and promises himself that he will get his revenge in Denver. Viking's men bring in a school janitor who reveals Coxman, who took Ryan. Viking realizes he misunderstood the names and that it wasn't Brock who was messing with him. Coxman calls Viking and asks him to come over by himself to retrieve his son. Viking assures him that he has given orders for his team to go to. They search his home but find no one. As Coxman drove Ryan around on his snowplow, Coxman introduces Ryan as his nephew when they come across a police car. Jip tells Coxman that he saw many cars at his house while talking to him, and Coxman realizes Viking has arrived while searching his house. They discover the company name from one of the images and decide to go there to find Ryan as Viking and his men leave. One of his men divulges the information to White Bull. Coxman yells at their cars and attempts to shoot Viking, but is stopped by Ryan. He quickly takes him back inside and instructs him to remain there until he returns to pick him up. He tries to shoot him again, but this time he is caught by his men, who take him to Viking. He interrogates him about Ryan, but before Coxman can respond, the White Bull gang arrives and begins shooting. A fight breaks out between the rival groups, killing nearly everyone from both. Viking tries to flee, but Coxman captures him in his car, and White Bull shoots him as he flees the scene to return to work. White Bull joins Coxman in the truck. The cops arrive on the scene and discover Viking just before he dies. While Ryan drives away in the snowplow, Coxman satisfies White Bull. He puts his gun down after realizing he is not a criminal, and they drive away, while the last remaining gang member on a parachute comes in front of them and is killed by. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.